In the vastness of the galactic expanse, where species from across the stars competed for dominance, humanity was barely a whisper. To the towering, advanced races of the galactic concordium, humans were insignificant, a fledgling species clinging to survival on the edges of known space. So, when humanity announced its participation in the annual War Games, a simulated conflict showcasing military might, laughter erupted across the galaxy. The War Games were not just a test of strength, but a stage for pride, power, and supremacy. Massive fleets, monstrous war machines, and legions of genetically engineered soldiers were the norm. Against this, humanity's so-called tiny army was seen as a joke. Whispers of mockery spread like wildfire. The Craxus generals, their troops towering at 3 meters tall and clad in near-impenetrable bioarmor, sneered. The Zynax Consortium, a race of machine intelligences with fleets of automated drones, dismissed the human effort as a waste of time. Even the Yareth, known for their tactical brilliance, chuckled among themselves, declaring, "A species this small should stick to farming, not warfare." In contrast to the grand declarations of other species, humanity's introduction to the games was subdued. Their representatives presented no grand boasts, no technological marvels. Instead, a single line resonated through the hall of delegates: "Do not underestimate us." It was met with roars of laughter and condescending applause. The tiny army itself became a punchline. No one could fathom how humans, with their limited resources and diminutive stature compared to many alien species, could field anything worth noticing. Their fleet consisted of a handful of modest ships, their soldiers dwarfed by the warriors of other species. To most observers, humanity's entry was either an act of desperation or delusion. But among the jeers and dismissive comments, a few curious voices questioned the decision. The Zynax, ever the analysts, noted odd patterns in the humans' deployment strategies. Their ships, though small, moved with precision. The Yareth, despite their mockery, couldn't help but observe the humans' intense focus during preparation drills. Still, these observations were drowned out by the overwhelming belief that humanity would serve as nothing more than cannon fodder. As the opening rounds of the games approached, the aliens prepared their grand spectacles. The Craxus brought their war beasts, bioengineered monstrosities that could level cities with a swipe of their claws. The Zynax deployed fleets of shimmering drones, each powered by hyper-intelligent algorithms. The Yareth, always confident, prepared intricate battle formations designed to outthink any opponent. And then there was humanity, quietly standing by, their plans concealed. What unsettled a few keen observers was the humans' demeanor. They weren't cowering or frantically making last-minute adjustments. Instead, they worked with a calm determination, as if they knew something no one else did. In hushed tones, alien strategists speculated. Was it arrogance? Naivete? Or something else entirely? As the games began, the galaxy turned its collective gaze toward the humans, ready to watch them falter. For the alien spectators, this wasn't just a competition. It was a chance to affirm their belief in humanity's insignificance. What they didn't realize was that humanity wasn't here to entertain them. Humanity was here to change everything. The first engagement of the War Games was a test of endurance and strength, and no one expected the humans to survive it. The alien forces, spread across a desolate battlefield on a barren moon, were a sight to behold. Towering Craxus warriors roared as they marched forward, their bioarmor glinting in the harsh sunlight. Swarms of Zynax drones filled the skies, weaving intricate patterns of light as their advanced AI calculated countless attack vectors. In contrast, humanity's forces appeared almost laughable, barely visible on the battlefield, their units small enough to be mistaken for simple reconnaissance devices. Then it happened. Without warning, the tiny army came alive. What looked like a scattered formation suddenly moved with surgical precision. Small, agile units, no larger than a person, dashed across the terrain, using the uneven ground to their advantage. They weren't mere machines. They were human soldiers, piloting advanced exosuits that enhanced their movements and reflexes. Each suit was designed not for brute strength, but for speed, adaptability, and precision. The first strike came so swiftly that the Kraxus barely had time to react. A squad of exosuit-clad humans infiltrated their ranks, disabling critical supply points and communication relays before disappearing into the rocky terrain. The Kraxus, known for their brute force, but not their agility, stumbled in confusion. Their towering forms, so imposing on open ground, suddenly seemed like liabilities in the face of such nimble adversaries. Above, the Xynax drones attempted to overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers. The skies darkened as thousands of drones descended, seeking to crush the tiny army under a relentless barrage. But the humans were prepared. They deployed compact EMP devices, disrupting the drones' networks and sending them spiraling to the ground. For every drone that fell, the humans advanced another step, their movements calculated and precise. The alien commanders, watching from their observation decks, were stunned. The humans weren't engaging in traditional warfare. They didn't rely on overwhelming firepower or grand displays of force. Instead, they fought like a swarm of wasps, striking vulnerable points and retreating before the enemy could retaliate. It was a style of combat the galaxy had rarely seen, chaotic yet meticulously planned. The Yereth, ever the tacticians, attempted to outmaneuver the humans by predicting their next moves. But this too failed. Human soldiers adapted in real time, changing strategies mid-battle and exploiting even the smallest mistakes. A single misstep by a Yereth commander led to an entire flank being dismantled by a handful of human soldiers armed with portable, high-powered railguns. As the dust settled on the first engagement, the battlefield was littered with the remnants of alien forces. Kraxus war beasts lay motionless, their handlers incapacitated. Xynax drones were scattered like fallen leaves, their once imposing presence reduced to scrap. The Yereth, known for their composure, stood in stunned silence, their intricate formations in disarray. Human casualties were minimal, their losses outweighed by their strategic gains. For the first time in the history of the war games, a smaller force had dismantled larger armies through sheer ingenuity and determination. The alien spectators, who had been so eager to mock humanity, now watched in uneasy silence. And yet, the humans themselves showed no signs of celebration. They regrouped swiftly, tending to their injured and preparing for the next engagement. It was as if this victory was just another step in a long journey, a journey they intended to see through to the end. The galaxy began to realize that humanity's tiny army wasn't small because of weakness. It was small because it didn't need to be any bigger. Every human soldier was a force unto themselves, wielding not just advanced technology, but the relentless will to survive. For the first time, the laughter stopped, replaced by a growing sense of unease. Humanity wasn't just participating in the war games. They were redefining them. The war games continued, and the alien forces grew increasingly desperate. The humans had become more than an unexpected threat. They were a revelation. With every engagement, humanity's tiny army proved its capability to adapt and outthink its opponents. The aliens, accustomed to relying on overwhelming force and technological superiority, found themselves floundering against strategies they could neither predict nor counter. The Kraxus responded first, bringing forth their most devastating weapons, colossal war beasts genetically engineered for destruction. These creatures were living tanks, armed with biocannons and protected by regenerative armor. Their sheer size and power made them an unstoppable force in traditional warfare. But humans, as the galaxy had learned, did not fight traditionally. Rather than confront the beasts head-on, the humans used their ingenuity to turn the battlefield against them. A small team of exosuit pilots led the war beasts into a canyon filled with magnetic mines. These minds, activated remotely, disrupted the beast's neural implants, causing them to lash out uncontrollably, even against their own forces. The Craxus commanders, baffled and enraged, could only watch as their greatest weapons became liabilities. Meanwhile, the Zynax, determined to outwit humanity's unpredictable tactics, deployed a new generation of drones powered by advanced adaptive AI. These drones were designed to learn and counter human strategies on the fly. At first, it seemed to work. The drones began predicting human movements, forcing several units into dangerous positions. But then, the humans did something no one expected. They hacked the drones mid-battle. Using stolen Zynax technology and their unparalleled ingenuity, the humans turned the drones against their creators. Entire squadrons of alien machines suddenly switched sides, wreaking havoc among the Zynax forces. What had been intended as a decisive countermeasure became yet another advantage for the tiny army. The Yereth, prideful and cunning, refused to accept defeat. They devised a strategy so intricate that they were certain it would trap the humans. Using a combination of decoy units and false intelligence, they lured the tiny army into what appeared to be an inescapable ambush. But the Yereth underestimated humanity's ability to see through deception. Rather than fall into the trap, the humans turned it to their advantage. A small reconnaissance team infiltrated the Yereth command center, disabling their communications and planting false orders. The Yereth forces, believing they were executing a flawless strategy, ended up turning on each other in the chaos. By the time they realized their mistake, the humans had already dismantled their forces and secured the battlefield. The alien spectators, once dismissive of humanity, were now in awe. This was not the warfare they knew. Humans didn't just adapt, they thrived in uncertainty, turning every disadvantage into an opportunity. They fought not with brute strength or overwhelming numbers, but with creativity, precision, and an unshakable determination to win. What stood out most was their unity. While other species relied on rigid hierarchies and pre-programmed strategies, the humans operated with a level of trust and coordination that defied explanation. Each soldier, from the lowest-ranking pilot to the highest commander, acted with a shared purpose. This wasn't just a battle for survival. It was a demonstration of what humanity could achieve when pushed to the brink. By the end of the third engagement, the tide of the war games had shifted entirely. Alien forces that once mocked the tiny army now feared them. Strategies that had worked for centuries were rendered useless in the face of human ingenuity. The galaxy began to see humanity not as a curiosity, but as a force to be reckoned with. And through it all, the humans remained focused. They weren't here for glory or recognition. They were here to prove a point, that no matter how small or underestimated, they could stand against the giants of the galaxy and win. The war games had reached their final stages, and the battlefield was transformed into a hushed arena of uncertainty. Where once there had been mockery and disdain, now there was an undeniable tension. The dominant alien factions, the Craxus, the Zynax, and the Yereth, were no longer concerned with victory. Their goal had shifted to survival. Humanity's tiny army had not just won battles. It had dismantled the very foundations of galactic warfare. What had been seen as a minor nuisance had become an unstoppable force. The galaxy's greatest powers, with their overwhelming resources and centuries of experience, now found themselves questioning their tactics, their strategies, and even their pride. In the final battle, the combined forces of the alien factions rallied. They set aside their rivalries, pooling their resources to confront the humans as a united front. It was a spectacle of unity, a coalition of species that rarely cooperated. Massive Craxus warbeasts stood side by side with Zynax drone fleets, while Yereth tacticians coordinated movements with unparalleled precision. Their strategy was simple: overwhelm the humans through sheer force and coordination. But humanity had anticipated this. As the alien coalition launched their assault, the battlefield erupted into chaos. The humans didn't stand and fight, they disappeared. Using a combination of stealth technology, diversionary tactics, and the terrain itself, they fragmented the coalition's forces. Craxus war beasts found themselves isolated, vulnerable to precision strikes from human exosuits. Xynax drones, unable to maintain formation, fell prey to human hacking teams who turned them against their allies. The Yareth, despite their tactical brilliance, were outmaneuvered at every turn, their strategies unraveled by human unpredictability. In the midst of this chaos, humanity revealed its final weapon, a decentralized command network that allowed every soldier to act independently while remaining connected. This system, powered by human ingenuity, ensured that even if a commander fell, the army would continue to operate seamlessly. It was a concept alien forces couldn't comprehend. Their rigid hierarchies and reliance on centralized decision-making left them vulnerable to disruption, while the humans thrived in the confusion. The battle raged on, but the outcome became clear long before it ended. The alien coalition, once confident in their superiority, was dismantled piece by piece. By the time the dust settled, their forces were in ruins. The battlefield was silent, save for the quiet hum of human exosuits as they regrouped. For the first time in the history of the war games, the smallest army had triumphed over the galaxy's most powerful factions. The tiny army stood victorious, a testament to the strength of ingenuity, adaptability, and human spirit. In the aftermath, the galaxy was forced to re-evaluate its understanding of power. The Craxus, who had always equated strength with size, began to study human tactics, seeking to incorporate agility and precision into their forces. The Xynax, humbled by humanity's ability to outthink their advanced AI, opened diplomatic channels to learn from their former adversaries. The Yareth, perhaps the most shaken, acknowledged that their pride had blinded them to the true nature of warfare. For humanity, the victory was bittersweet. The cost had been high: lives lost, resources stretched to the breaking point, but the rewards were undeniable. They had earned not just respect, but a place at the galactic table. No longer dismissed as insignificant, humanity was now seen as a symbol of resilience and innovation. As the war games concluded, the galaxy's perception of strength was forever changed. The legend of the tiny army spread far and wide, a story of how a small, underestimated species had stood against giants and emerged victorious. It was a story that inspired fear in those who had once mocked humanity, and hope in those who believed in the power of determination. For humanity, this was just the beginning. The war games had been their proving ground, a stage on which they had shown the galaxy what they were capable of. But they knew their greatest challenges still lay ahead. With their newfound recognition came new responsibilities, new alliances, and new enemies. Yet, as they looked to the stars, the humans were unafraid. They had faced the galaxy's greatest forces, and had not just survived, but thrived. Whatever came next, they were ready. The tiny army had proven that size didn't matter. What mattered was the will to stand, to fight, and to rise above. And humanity had plenty of that.